Okay, today is going to go down probably as one of the darkest days in New York Islander history, as their superstar, their best player the past 8 years, John Tavares, has left the Islanders and signed with his hometown team, the Toronto Maple Leafs. It is a devastating blow to the Islanders organization and Islander fans. And Rich and Tommy will follow hockey. We want to get their take as well. And Rich, what was your thoughts on the Islanders losing John Tavares?
I can't say that I was surprised. Honestly, I believe very strongly that the Islanders, they didn't fight enough for him. Honest and truthful. I mean, you look at teams like the Golden Knights and the Capitals. They have Ovechkin. They have Fleury. This is your top talent. You want to protect that talent. You want to make sure that if they're going to go free agent, that you have the necessary capital to maintain these players and keep them happy. And Tavares clearly didn't have enough money. He wasn't making enough money. They didn't offer him enough, in my opinion, and they didn't fight for him. And it's very sad because the Islanders are going to be moving to a new stadium. And as you alluded, you go down to New York, you take the train, you see Tavares jerseys all over the place. And me, I was going to buy a Tavares jersey until I realized that Tavares wasn't happy. And a hockey jersey is like $130. It's a small investment, okay? I live on a shoestring budget. And honestly, I kind of sensed that he was leaving. I kind of felt that this was going to happen. And this is the whole reason why me and my sister are Golden Knights fans, because honestly, we sensed this, we knew this was happening. And Julie, if you are listening out there, you got your wish in a sense. The Golden Knights, they're going to do it, I think. But not to change the subject, Tavares is a very high-profile player. To lose him, now it's a question of what you do. Where do you go for talent? Who do you pull for talent? Russia is a country that has a lot of very strong talent. Canada, obviously, is the birthplace of hockey. There's a lot of strong talent in Canada. You hope that you could find a young Canadian, just like Tavares, who has the strength, who has the passion, and who has the drive to lead the team. But what's really bad about this is they didn't just lose a high-profile player. They lost their team captain. That is going to hurt immensely because Tavares was a leader. He led this team. He was the heart and soul, I believe, of this team. And it's going to be a very difficult loss, and it's going to be very hard to replace him.
Tommy, what's your take on Tavares leaving New York for Toronto?
Well, as an Islander fan, it's obviously very devastating to lose your top player, and like he touched on, not just the top player, but also a captain and the heart of the team. But, it kind of, we've seen it coming with the upheaval with the Islanders organization over the past few years, moving from the Coliseum to Brooklyn. Now we're going to play in a temporary stadium for half the season, then another stadium for half the season until they get their new stadium. The guy, I just think he was fed up with all of that upheaval and wanted to be in a more solid surrounding, which is his hometown of Toronto, where he's loved and idolized, and it was kind of a no-brainer for him. He's going to make more money, he's going to be in a more stable organization, they're going to pay him what he wants, and it's really, like I said, we just couldn't offer him what they could offer him in Toronto. And, the effect of playing in your hometown on a lot of people, I mean, hopefully the Rangers one day get to sign Charlie McAvoy, something like that would be great, and that's the same deal with Tavares. You got to go home again, and for athletes, when they get that opportunity, they're going to jump at it, every single day of the week.
Yeah, I think another big factor in all this is, yes, he wanted to play in his hometown. He grew up near Toronto, but I think the bottom line for a lot of athletes is that I think the money would have been comparable from the Islanders to Toronto. Actually, the Islanders could have given him one more year. I think what really comes down to is he wants to win. Right. He's been with the Islanders 8 years. They've only made the playoffs 3 times. They've only won 1 playoff series. And I think he looked at it and said, you know what, with him joining Toronto with a good young nucleus of a terrific young players, they're right away contenders for the Stanley Cup, whereas Tavares stayed with the Islanders. They're nowhere near a Stanley Cup. I know they brought in Lou Lamoriello and Barry Trotz, a new coach and a new president. But you know what? They're nowhere near a Stanley Cup team. And I think the bottom line was he wanted to be on a team that can contend for a Stanley Cup. And I think that really was heavy in his mind, that he wanted to win a Stanley Cup. And Toronto presented a much better opportunity of winning a Stanley Cup than the Islanders.
I completely agree with that. Any athlete, when they're getting towards the end of their prime, the biggest motivation for them is to win a title. And if he spends another 5-6 years with the Islanders and he's past his prime, he might not get a chance to play for a team like Toronto that has the young nucleus and wants him to be that guy that puts them over the top. So it's like I said, for him, it's a no-brainer to go to a team like that than to struggle with the Islanders while they try to get it right for the next half a decade.
Absolutely, and let's face it, the Barclays Center is not even made for hockey. It's a horrendous arena for hockey. They're stuck there for another 3 years, and I think there was a lot of frustrations with Tavares, and even though they got a new coach and a new president, they're still going to be at the Barclays Center, splitting time with the Coliseum. And I think he looked at that and said, do I really want to stay here, or do I want to go to a team with a great young nucleus and a chance to win? And, he did say, a childhood dream was to play for his hometown team, the Toronto Maple Leafs. And I think that, along with the fact that they could win, far outweighed than staying with the Islanders and hoping that they might be good. I mean, they did have a good draft. They had 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks. So all the experts said they had a great draft. But that's not proven, So I think the bottom line is he picked the best opportunity to win a Stanley Cup.
Absolutely, Howie. Absolutely. I think that when you have an arena that's not even designed for ice hockey, and you have a team of the caliber of the New York Islanders, where back in the 80s you won 4 back-to-back Stanley Cups, that's huge. That is ginormous. The market is there. We know the market's there. I think that Elmont, he couldn't wait for Elmont because Elmont's 2-3 years away. It takes forever to build a hockey arena. And the NHL has to approve it. And Bettman already approved it, but the thing is, now 3 more years, exactly. And he's not a young player. And I think what we saw was what I call Ovechkin syndrome. That is a player who has been in the NHL for years, has all the accolades, all the awards to show except for a Stanley Cup. Ovechkin is a captain, led the Washington Capitals to their Stanley Cup, got his Stanley Cup, and now the market in Washington has never been better. The fan base is humongous. I was in Virginia about 2 weeks ago, and all you saw were Capital signs. I mean, the Capitals are their team. It is a market. It's all about money. Tavares wasn't making the money. He wasn't happy. The Islanders have been, no offense, have not been playing to the caliber that they should be playing to. And he knew that the only opportunity I'm ever going to get is with a team that really wants it. In Toronto, the Canadian market is huge. I mean, you go to Toronto, the Maple Leafs are beloved. That is their team. That is his home. He wants to play for the home team. When he goes in the Hall of Fame, and he will go into the Hall of Fame because he's that caliber of a player. I believe he will make Hall of Fame. So the question is, will he make Hall of Fame with the ring for the Stanley Cup or not? I believe strongly now that he's with Toronto, he could lead the Maple Leafs to a Stanley Cup. The Maple Leafs are a young team. They're a powerful team. I think he could do it. So I wish him all the best. I'm sorry that he left. Personally, I would have loved to have seen him get that lifetime of beer and clams and all that, because I still can't believe they offered them that. But I really believe, Howie, that in my heart, that Toronto is where he belongs. And he's happy for the first time. We got to be happy for him. Unfortunately, it's a crushing blow to the New York Islander organization, but as he alluded, the organization's financially crushed. They have been spending money left and right. They've been moving from arena to arena. That's a lot of pressure on a player. I mean, you want to stay in your market. You want to stay where everything is strong. You want to be able to give back to the community. You want to give them the best hockey that you personally can. And the Barclays Center is not a place that can do that. I've been to Barclays. and I went there for a boxing match. It's perfect for boxing. It's not perfect for hockey. It's small. It's cramped. It's certainly not the Nassau Coliseum, or as we call it, the Barn. And Elmont, I think, is going to be huge, but that's 3 years away, and he couldn't wait.
Yeah, one thing I want to close on this segment is that, I remember when LeBron James years ago left Cleveland, Miami, the fans were famous for burning his jersey and rioting, and I really hope the Islander fans don't resort to that. In my opinion, John Tavares gave the Islanders 8 great years. He was a finalist for the MVP several times in the top 3. He represented the team with class and dignity. He was nothing but a class act. He gave the Islanders 8 tremendous years. He was always a positive force, always a good role model in the community, was a great leader. So I hope the Islander fans don't do that. He played 8 years. He deserved the right. He earned the right to be a free agent. Several teams made pitches, and in the end, he decided he wanted to go home and play the rest of his career with the Toronto Maple Leafs. So I think all Islander fans, yes, feel bad, and losing your top player is a devastating feeling. And you're a diehard Islander fan, you hate to see him go, but don't go out and burn his jersey. Don't badmouth the guy. Be grateful that he gave you 8 great years. He was a class act, and take the loss with respect and dignity. And we, as in New York, should wish John Tavares nothing but the best when he goes to Toronto. Thank you.